Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar on getting the most out of GoAnywhere with Cloud Connectors. Today, we're going to show you how you can connect your cloud-based applications with GoAnywhere to simplify and secure data movement. My name is Kara Zank. I'm the marketing manager for GoAnywhere, and I'm here today with our presenters, Chris Spargen and Heath Kath. Gentlemen, are you there?
Good morning, thanks, yes.
Good morning.
All right, before we kick things off, I'm going to remind you that the webinar is scheduled for an hour. We are recording it and we'll send out the link to where you can access it afterwards. Feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation. We'll be answering them via chat, and then we'll also cover a few live at the end as well. Finally, a survey will display at the close of the presentation. We'd really appreciate if you could take a couple minutes to fill that out to tell us how we're doing. So here's our agenda for today. We're going to cover our approach to the cloud and some common cloud deployments, briefly cover what are cloud connectors, some use cases, how they work, and then Heath is going to do a live demonstration. And again, we'll end with questions to answer for you live. So let me introduce you to our presenters. Today we have Heath Kath, who's a senior solutions consultant here at Help Systems, working with the GoAnywhere MFT product line. Heath provides pre-sales support, specializing in demos and proof of concepts. He is also a member of the professional services team, providing additional training or assistance with our GoAnywhere users. We also have Chris Spargen, who's the manager of support and services for the GoAnywhere team. He has worked on all facets of support and services and now has the pleasure of leading these two great teams that support the customer experience. So Heath and Chris, thanks for being here, and I'll let you take it away.
Sounds good. Thanks, Kara. I got the first slide here just to kind of introduce you guys to something that's pretty new. It's probably been around just for a year or so, but this communities option is really cool. It's pretty new, but it allows you, it gives you a way to connect with other GoAnywhere MFT users. GoAnywhere Insiders, you will be able to reach out to over 900 active members today and really get their feedback, get suggestions, and you will also find some great videos, tutorials, case studies, trainings, and even more. Also, the more you partake, the more points you will earn, and those are able to be turned in for some nice rewards and all that, some nice little gifts out there. There's a link here at the bottom, so if you are interested in learning more about that, take advantage of it. Again, there's no cost. It's for you guys as being an active customer of GoAnywhere. But first things first, Chris, I'm going to give you the floor for the next one here.
All right, thanks, Heath. Yeah, if you haven't checked out Insiders, get in there. There's a lot of great content. So we thought, we're talking about cloud connectors, we're talking about integrating with cloud services. It's a good idea to give some context to cloud, I think, in our approach ultimately. So what we've kind of found is a few years ago, cloud was everything. Everyone's moving to cloud. It's going to replace everything. What industry research has told us is actually, I don't think that's quite going to be the case. There are certain services where it makes 100% sense that we move to the cloud, and there are other times where some systems should remain on-premise. So this hybrid cloud model is really what's emerging, and ultimately, what's super exciting about GoAnywhere, in addition to the cloud connectors, is the fact that we're able to provide kind of this ideal hybrid cloud deployment that allows you to be very flexible in your deployment. So GoAnywhere MFT could be on-prem, it could be in the cloud, and if it's on-prem, having an agent out in the cloud, or on the flip side of that, an agent on-prem, if MFT is in the cloud, that's going to give you the ultimate flexibility to allow you to integrate between cloud and on-prem. Go to next slide, please, Heath. This is going to show you just a couple different common cloud deployments. AWS still has majority market share. Azure does seem to have a little bit more of a space, I would say, with people that are leveraging maybe Office 365 or some of the government customers that we've worked with maybe prefer the Azure. So these are just some high-level diagrams on leveraging some of the Azure services in your typical clustered, highly available, deployments of MFT as well as Gateway. So we will, there's a lot of different cloud services you can use within, I would say, more AWS. AWS is a little more like a catalog, but these are what we're finding with a lot of our customers, and we want to provide that context for what we're seeing in our customer environments. Go ahead to the next slide, Heath. Awesome. So one important piece, obviously we want to provide that flexibility to our customer base. So we did release GoAnywhere's MFT as a service. For those of you that have logged into the customer portal over the last couple months, you've seen at one point what was a GoAnywhere Cloud hosted with a red beta ribbon on it. That has been removed. MFT as a service is live and able for you to trial it out and ultimately use it. So really exciting offering. We're going to take care of all the infrastructure for you, the upgrading of the application, the patching of the operating system, the database file system, all that good stuff. You simply deploy your GoAnywhere Cloud instance, you log into your admin interface. You still have all the same access controls to what you've experienced with the on-premise deployment. And then you get to, obviously manage your users, manage your workflows. So, we hope that this continues to help provide flexibility to our customers. Go ahead to the next slide there, Heath. Awesome, thanks. And so this is just a little bit of that look of what it looks like when you go into that cloud environment. You can define, your ports, and then you get easy access to look at those. We'll provide certificates for your admin and website URLs there that you see. But yeah, this is some of the key benefits you can see here of leveraging our MFT as a service. And I would say that if you're running within the MFT as a service environment, just circle back around to what I had said earlier, be that integrating with cloud connectors for popular cloud services like Heath is going to deep dive into today, as well as if you need to connect back onto your own network or back to on-prem to integrate with some of your on-premise applications, or maybe back-end file shares, databases. The agent technology is what makes that so seamless and easy, and so allows you to actually lock down inbound access into your private network from cloud applications by having that agent connect to GoAnywhere MFT as an outbound connection. So ultimately, flexibility is the key here. And with that said, I will turn it back to you, Heath, and let's dive into those cloud connectors.
All right, sounds good. So again, here's another slide too, guys, that's gonna be recorded for you, just kind of breaking it down. So if you want that comparison, as Chris was talking about, this is great, some great information here. Again, it's up to you guys and what's the best environment for you. And talking about these cloud connectors, we have all these different cloud connectors out there. To start off, these cloud connectors, first of all, GoAnywhere offers these cloud connectors right out of the box. These cloud connections, they allow you to easily integrate with popular SOAP and RESTful web service applications, including Salesforce, Box, Dropbox, Microsoft Dynamics CRM, SharePoint, Google Drive, and so many more. This key term, integrate or integration, you will see very soon how you can do more than just get and post operations. You will be able to access and integrate, move, create, and manage your own cloud services within a GoAnywhere workflow. Most of these cloud-based services provide some type of RESTful and SOAP-based API. Then our cloud connectors in GoAnywhere allows you to reach out to them via web services to interact with those services. So with Salesforce, you will be able to manage the accounts, like getting and updating accounts, orders, leads, and so forth. With Dropbox, you're going to be able to work with those directories in your files out there, maybe just listing them, but downloading, uploading them, and more. We have, 38 plus maybe cloud connectors out there today available on our marketplace. Another very nice option is that with our cloud connector technology is that you don't have to restart GoAnywhere to use a new or updated cloud connector. That is, once we release a cloud connector functionality, that cloud connector is an individual component that we publish on our website, on our marketplace, that you can download as needed. And I'll show you exactly where that's at, but once you install it or update it, you're good to go. You can use it really quickly. And just kind of talking about here how aggressive we are with this, it's pretty cool. With our development in the past year or so, we've added Azure Data Lake Storage, Storage Queue, and several Amazon AWS connectors like CloudTrail, CloudWatch, and ECS. And I think, again, they're not so active out there, but I think they're actually working on some bigger ones, like SAP and Dynamics ERP and so forth. There's even an option, by the way, that allows you to build your own cloud connector with a drag and drop type of a designer. And I'll show just a little bit of that here today. But our main focus is using what we have because we do have so many for you. How are customers using the cloud connector today? The bulk of them, well, they're probably using it for file transfers, but as they get more familiar with them, they are starting to do more around the managing of their accounts and more. We do have some working with CRM and other applications, but again, the bulk is around moving those files, but obviously the most use cases of GoAnywhere is to move data, right? We specialize in that virtually to any file system. But however, with these services and the growth of acting with the cloud services out there, it's getting difficult to connect and interact with them like Dropbox and Box and so many others. You could build a bunch of RESTful web service tasks. If you're a developer and you can figure out how to the JSON and how to authenticate and everything else yourself, or you could simply and easily use the ones that we have out of the box. It's much quicker, again, simple. There's no maintenance on your end. We build these cloud connectors and publish them for just a small fee. So the bulk of our customers are using them to access and to move files to and from, and customers are also able to manage their docs from creating, copying, and renaming them at the same time. This one here around secure forms, some of our customers are actually using secure forms, and within these secure forms, you can build a user interface that prompts that user for certain data, and then that calls a project, and that project can then interact with that web service. So actually, I have an example today I'd like to walk you through regarding this kind of a flow here. But again, it's a really easy way to create tickets, create enhancements, and whatever types of forms you got to get out there. And again, it's really simple, very easy for the user to use, and so it's pretty cool that way. And also, we'll kind of walk through some examples around Fortero and maybe even Gate Scanner, but these are cloud connectors that do some disarming of files, basically removing malicious content. So I'll actually walk through a project, kind of showing how it works, just the layout of it, how it can scan the files, make sure there's no, again, some bad data in there, or disarming them from bad applications built into it, and basically building a scrub version of the file, if you will. This picture illustrates where cloud connectors fit into this, how they fit into a GoAnywhere workflow. You have GoAnywhere right there in the middle, right? Within GoAnywhere Managed File Transfers, you can create projects, basically the workflows of which you will define and access your source data, allowing you to move them, encrypt them, decrypt them, zip them, rename them, all that stuff. Well, these projects, these workflows, connect or glue both the source and the destination cloud services together as part of that file movement. So at the bottom, you can use applications, your programs, you can get off via internet sites, PHP, command line actions, secure forms, web services, etc. Ultimately, call in a project, and these projects can work with Box, Salesforce, Dropbox, SharePoint, again, all those different cloud connectors that we have as part of that workflow. Coming up here in really, really soon here is our demo, but this is kind of just my introduction to it. But you'll see how easy you can access this marketplace where you can browse and install those connectors that you need to. All right, so let me go ahead and jump over. I believe I'm using.
While you're pulling that up, Heath, I'll just, I can fill in a little bit of color there. So hopefully what everyone sees from that marketplace is just how easy it is to add cloud connectors, right? As Heath alluded to earlier, a lot of this is web services. So if you have a unique use case that you potentially want our development team to add to the application, have that dialogue with us. That marketplace is designed to allow us to easily scale cloud connectors out. And based on our typical enhancement process, the more we hear from our customer base about certain cloud services, the more attention that's going to get. But yeah, adding it is a scalable thing that makes it really easy for you to readily, I guess, uptake that into your existing processes through the marketplace.
Absolutely, and it kind of goes back to that, right? Where you can install GoAnywhere. It's all that flexibility. What do you guys need to do? Just so you know, right now, what you guys are looking at is the dashboard as an administrator, as an admin. And if this is the first time really seeing one of our demos and all that, you have this dashboard, you have all these different gadgets that you can put on there, different layouts, but it's about what information is important to you to see when you first log into GoAnywhere. And today here we'll be talking really kind of both ends of it. The client side where you're initiating the file transfers, connect them to different services, so you can see these different jobs and how they completed at a quick glance. And as a user connect, maybe use a form to upload a file, download a file, those become the server side, the services, so you can see which services are up and running and the number of files are uploading, downloading, and what users are logged in. So it's a nice live dashboard that you can actually interact with. You can drill deeper in the job logs and the users if needed. So again, kind of a starting point there in your first login. I am going to focus really though today on just kind of walking through these cloud connectors, and I'll jump into some workflows, but if you want to see more about them, please let us know. We'll be glad to set up a little demo with you. Under system, if you actually navigate down to add-ons, we have this marketplace, and this marketplace allows you then, of course, install these different cloud connectors. And right now you can see what's installed, but up on top, there's this option. Let me zoom in just a little bit for you. Here's this marketplace. And now you can see which ones are truly available for you. And again, I mentioned earlier, we have all these different Amazon ones right there on top. CloudWatch, EC2. This list is great. At a high level, you can kind of see what they do. Then you can click on it to expand to see a little bit more on what they can do. So this one here, of course, all about creating and copying images, snapshots, tags, and so forth. And if I scroll down, again, you'll see a lot more. There's Azure Data Lake Storage. Here's your box. If I expand that, allows you to connect up to your box to actually work with those documents. So let's say you wanted to connect to a box user's account, download a series of files, then maybe zip them up and maybe archive them for some historical purposes. So this is a great way to leverage that, through this cloud connector. Google Translate, Jira software, ServiceNow, Sharefile, Trello, Vera. So you can see all these different ones out there. Here's Dropbox again, another one. Again, click on it. You can see all the different task actions you can perform. Gate scanner. We even have our own command connector, which really allows you to come back into GoAnywhere to work with some of the users, maybe add users, remove them, define some virtual folders, and a lot more. Google Drive, Jams, Jenkins, so forth. So we have all these different ones again. OneDrive, SharePoint. I'll be doing a little demonstration today, I think, with SharePoint. So we'll actually walk through and how we can get that connection authenticated. I believe I'm uploading a file, maybe renaming it or downloading it, something like that. But these are those tasks for you. All right there. The other tip here for you too, again, we have so many of them out there. If you're kind of curious, if you have it too, if you just type in Salesforce, if you find the map for the same word there, the name of it, it'll actually bring up that list of that connector. And of course, then you can expand from there. So this is a great way to get them out there. On the right-hand side there, this is the option where you can actually install it, etc. Of course, I have it already installed, but that's where you'll see the option to install. Once you have them installed, you'll see them here. And if I wanted to type in Salesforce, just to get down to that connector, there it is. If you expand on it, click on it, you actually will see a little bit more detail about what you can do now within this connector. So you can see all the add and updates around the different accounts and quotes and so forth. It's a lot of information, a lot of things you can do. All right. I do want to jump over to another box really quickly because I did talk about earlier how you can install and then also do updates. So right now, nothing's currently needs to be updated. There's no updates available. But if I jump over here to my other installation and go to add-ons, you can see right there is the link. It's so simple. All you have to do is click on that link. It'll update it again. You don't need to worry about doing anything else. It'll just do it for you at that point. So it's pretty simple. All right. So I am going to jump out of there. And at this point, again, you have all these different connectors you can use and so forth. We have that one, Salesforce. I kind of focused on that one a little bit, but now to actually use those cloud connectors, to be able to connect up to them, the place to start is under resources, and you'll have this cloud connectors. And from here, you can see what ones that we have already created. And when you go to create your own, once you download it, install it, click on Add Connector, go select the one you want that you need there, and it'll bring you right into it. And I'll show you one of them here. All right. I believe I'm using this one here today. So here's an example where we have that URL, the client ID, the secret, the username, and so forth defined to connect up to this cloud service, to Salesforce. Once you define that connection, all of our resources here, they allow you to test them out really quickly, really easily as well. And you want to make sure you're successful there. So blue is good. So we know at this point, this resource is able to connect up to my server up there, to Salesforce. So now at this point, once you have these different resources established and defined and tested out good, you can leverage them in the workflows. So besides the cloud connectors, if you haven't seen it, you can see all the different lists here from S3 buckets, Azure Blob Storage, network shares, remote servers using secure FTP. You define those resources here, and then you leverage them within the workflows. All right. Now that we have that, or those resources defined, I'm gonna actually walk through some existing projects for you today. Oops. All right. And we're gonna jump right into my little folder here called Cloud Connectors. So just so you know, you can create your own folder structure that makes sense to you, but I have these existing projects already set up here for us to walk through. This first one, as you can see, it's using Salesforce. And it's all about going out there and create some or get some cases. So what it is, if I look over here on the left-hand side under the component library, Cloud Connectors, and we have one for Salesforce. Here are those different actions, different tasks that you can perform within here, within the workflow. You're add and update, accounts, cases, leads, opportunities, and of course delete them as well. So we've all these different actions you can build into it. I kept mine pretty simple overall compared to that whole list there, but kind of walk you through it pretty quickly. We have the first thing is to authenticate. So once we make that connection out to that service out there, we got this resource. Once you define that resource in step number 1 there, they're available from a drop-down list. So select it. We also have this authentication token. This token is going to be reused for initial following steps here after this one to make sure we have the same connection going on, same job there. So when I do this, let me back up for a second, sorry. This, by the way, is a variable. So what it is, I just type in a name and that becomes a variable that I can reference within the workflows. And once you define it and it's been established, you actually see it here in the top right corner where now I can leverage that. Here's where I'm leveraging. It was just a drag and drop to bring it in here. So we're going to connect it to my Salesforce. Here's my authentication token. We have some fields. We have this results. So here we're going to actually return the information in a variable. So again, I'm creating a variable that contains the data. The variable is called JSON out, which will be leveraged here just a little bit. And just some comments on the bottom. Optionally, I print some information to the job log. Print. And by the way, I should also point these out. All these different T's are tasks that are coming from the left-hand side. So we actually have one for printing where I can print to the job log or I can print to a file. So we're actually going to create this JSON file. We're going to grab that JSON file on a read. And I have defined a row set. This is a variable that's going to contain that information from that read. So this contains all that data, and I have broken it down by different columns here for the total size, the count, reason, etc. Maybe you need to take that data and copy it. So I'm going to grab that JSON file that I just created out there, copy it to a destination. It could be a local folder, it could be a remote folder, etc. If it exists, what do you want to do? Again, leveraging a variable. These will make things easier within GoAnywhere. Might be a little confusing right now, but I'm keeping track of this file, the source, the destination file here as a case file. So the destination here, it's gonna look a pointer to it. Think of it that way. doing a write CSV task, taking that JSON row set, writing it out, output file there, etc. And you have options. You have a lot of options, to be honest. How you want to distribute the data. It could be just copied. It could be moved to a remote server. I could email it out. In fact, what I'm doing here is actually I'm moving it to a secure folder, and I'm also emailing out what we call a quick download link that allows the user to actually access it. So what it is, if you have like a web user, so think of your target recipient who needs to get this information. And I got my different folders out here where I can access my data. All right. And I can manually log in and manually go to that folder and download those documents that are being sent out. Let me go ahead and execute this, run it. Again, this is go out there. It's going to connect up to Salesforce, grab the file out there, and eventually build this JSON file to be sent out. Blue is good. The job log, you'll actually be able to read this job log and really see in detail what just occurred. But I'm going to jump down just to keep it pretty quick here. But one file was copied successfully. We had 6 columns in that particular row set we're building, 27 rows of data. And in that print statement, I'm out there looping through, printing them out just in the job log, just for reference wise. But let me show you what that email looks like. And what this is, in fact, bring this back just for a quick second. I want to bring over here because you're going to see something. Instead of me kind of navigating in here manually, I'm going to actually click on this link. This is a quick download link. This is something you can enable. And you'll see in the bottom left corner is actually downloading the file from my web user account directly. So it makes it really easy for that user. If I wasn't logged in, it would ask me to log in for those credentials, but I was already logged in. And very quickly here, I can actually get into that file. I just download it, open it up. And here we have the Excel document. Anyhow, so that's a quick little example for you, taking advantage of the Salesforce. SharePoint, just to kind of walk you through this. Again, taking advantage of the cloud connectors that you install, you set that resource. Once you have that resource established, you can start connecting up to them. And for SharePoint, it's under Microsoft SharePoint. So right there, you can see all the different tasks. What I did here, I defined a directory as a variable, just makes it a little easier for my demonstration here today, but there's the value of it. Here's the file name that I'm gonna go grab eventually here. And we're gonna walk through this. And for my SharePoint example, it's on a different browser. So if you have SharePoint, you can see right now what folders are out here. I have all these different folders, 1 through 8, plus a test demo. But we're gonna make that connection. So again, authenticate. We're gonna create a directory. So taking advantage of that particular action. Again, using those variables to confirm the session ID, the request digest, and the folder name. Upload the file. The directory, again, using the variables just makes it easier. I did throw it down here just for your reference. And I'm also gonna do a download. You know, one thing I didn't show you earlier is that too, when you create these projects and all that, these workflows, you can actually do a quick validation of it. Just make sure it compiles at a high level. It does look good. There's blue. I'm gonna go ahead and execute that. At the same time, I'm gonna jump over here. And if I refresh this, and it looks like I went into it by accident. So let's go back. And let's see, where's my refresh? All right, so there's my webinar test directory. So it was just created, as well as the document that was just uploaded. So again, makes it pretty easy to work with SharePoint. Dropbox, another one that's also is commonly used by a lot of our customers to be able to work with their accounts out there. And here we're going to go through create a workspace, which is a temporary space, put some files in to manage them and all that. But then to create a variable that I can use for renaming a folder, renaming a document, etc. So I'm going to build these date variables. I'm formatting them here in this format, a year, month, day for today. The date and time includes everything, including the microseconds there. I have a set var just for the file name. I'm going to use that file name, retrieving that date and time right now. Let's make a directory. So we're going to create another directory out there for today's date, upload some documents into that folder that I just established. So if you need to do that on the fly, it's pretty easy. And then even maybe want to rename the file. So again, this is taking advantage of the Dropbox Cloud Connector. Let's go ahead and execute this one. What happened here? Let's see here. Everything should be good. Let me take a quick look here. Oh, actually, I think I was going to do that one on a different server. I apologize. I didn't have finished setting that one up over there. That was my bad. Easy enough though. There it is. So same one, same exact flow there. Let's make sure that one looks good. Execute it. All right. And while that's waiting, if I go to Dropbox, you can see that kind of pop in there really quickly. It's still doing its thing here yet. Now, if I go into this folder, there's the one from today, 22nd already of October, and I'm in Minnesota where it's snowing out. So I think we have another 5 or 6 inches of snow coming. A little too early for that. But anyhow, nice little example of using Dropbox. This next example, just going to jump down just a little bit here, just because of time-wise here. I want to make sure I get through everything. I'm just going to walk through this one here, the Viterro scan. As you guys may have some documents that you want to scan, make sure there's no viruses and so forth. We have the different cloud connectors out there, Viterro scan, then also we have Gate Scanner. You may even have your own ICAP resource. There's another way to work with those as well, to tap into your ICAP resource within a workflow to pass your documents to that, to scan them, to redact the information, etc. This is just taking advantage of the cloud connector, where we can pass that document. Here's a source file coming in. That file, by the way, this is hard coded, but that file could be coming in through a project or through some monitor folder, a user uploading a document, etc. And we're going to take that file and scan it, through Viterro, and then the destination of it. So at this point, we have this PDF with a JavaScript. At the end there, I actually have it renamed, just so you know it would be a different version there, but it's all sanitized. So after it's been scanned, at this point, you can deliver that file based on the return codes. Again, I'm moving it there, but you can do different things here because of the different statuses, different codes that are coming back. So if it finds several different statuses or events out there, you can loop through and print them out, do different things. So I just want you guys to think, with these workflows, you can customize that logic. If this, then that. So based on that return code, what do you want to do with this document? Here I just rebuilt it, but you want to block it completely, different things like that. So again, very easy to there, take advantage of that cloud connector. This next one here will take me a little bit of time to walk through it, and I want to make sure I get through this one here. And earlier, I did mention about using the secure form. Another great way to leverage these different cloud connectors, but it's initiating from a user's point of view. And here I'm going to use Jira. It's great for bug tracking, issue tracking, project management, you name it, right? And I do have it up right now. So I have right now my connection to Jira. I have just a couple different objects out here created so far, different cases or subject matters there. But let's jump back. And what I'm going to do here, I mentioned this is with secure forms. So I'm actually jump out of this workflow for now, and I'll come back to it. But under services, secure forms, we have this section where you can actually create these forms. And I do have one called enhancements. And this can be for creating tickets, not just enhancements, but whatever it might be. And You get the name information there, but I'm going to come back to the project in a second. This access tab. What's really nice here too regarding these secure forms is that you control where and who can access them. In other words, you could make them public access, where you can actually have this URL built and this URL be placed on your own website or just email to a customer, etc. The URL is built off of this URI up on top. I do have it web client enabled, so my users can also log into the web client like we did earlier, right up here, and also run those forms that they've been given permissions to run. And it's also REST enabled, so quick little check of the button there. You can quickly enable those as needed. If you do go through the web client and web users like this, you can control or define what users can use this form as well as the groups. But the biggest thing here is the components. This section, this is where you get to define or build the questionnaire, if you want to call it that, but this web-based form. What information do you need to get from the user that's filling it out? And just kind of point on the left-hand side, you have all these different components, different input type, from a checkbox, date, drop-down list, multi-checkbox numbers, radial buttons. Where you select a radial button, you have a whole list of options you can select from, etc. So you can actually pick and choose what you want just by dragging and drop it into it. What we have in this form, we have the company name. Let me go ahead and select this. Every parameter that you have in here, every input parameter you have in here is really a variable that can be passed or that will be passed back to your project that you can utilize. So in other words, like this company name, the very first parameter on top, company, this is being passed back to that project. So every inputted value is being passed back to the project, and then you can customize that logic into that workflow, what you want to do with that data. Verify, validate it, take the data, update a database table. If you have attached documents, you can grab those, bring them in as well. So it gives you a lot of options there. The label for it, required, yes or no. Placeholders, so you can kind of see what's kind of information is just filled in for the placeholder. If I jump down to, let's go down to the product component. This one, we got the variable name, the label, yes is required, the options, manual. You could also do a database where you query your own tables to bring or build this list dynamically when it runs. And this one has all this, the label, the values being passed, a little description, and if you want a default value, which one the default that is, you select it pretty easily there. So again, this component section, this information is being collected by the user, and when they're done filling it in, they'll be hitting submit button. All this data is being passed back to a project. So that brings me to my project tab. This project up on top, which we'll walk through in a second, is going to take that information and do something with it. Yes, it's going to call Jira, right? The Cloud Connector. And then we have some variable values that are defined within this project. Some is kind of predefined here within the project, but these values be overridden by that secure form. So again, that uses data to take precedence over what's listed here. These are some of the defaults, basically. All right, so let's go take a look at that project. So here we have this project. Again, a little temporary workspace. We have that formatting of today's date and time, combining some information just into a print. Here's that create issue. So again, this is taking advantage of the different options within the Cloud Connector for Jira. We have information coming in, a lot of variables, because again, these values are being passed in from the secure form. So the more you may require, more you want, whatever it is, grab that data, bring it into it, etc. So we're quickly here, we're going to build and create that issue. So let's take a look at the secure form. This is using the web client. Again, that URL can be opened up, but go into forms. And I'll zoom in for you. So here you can see all the different forms that this particular user has access to right now. All right, so now you can see that kind of pre-filled in information just to give you an idea what goes there. A lot of things are kind of stored in memory from last time I tested it out here, so let's go ahead and just put in their test. That's fine. My name, let me put a good number in here. It's 952-933-0609, whatever it might be. your product, product family, the product component. What's nice about this, you can pick and choose a section. So if you're creating a case, a problem ticket out there, not a problem, or in this case, an enhancement, but what section, what department, what areas involved with. So I can pick and choose. This is for cloud connectors. What do you want to do out here? Since I live in Minnesota and it's snowing out, it looks really crappy outside right now. Option to auto start my car. Nothing serious right now, but again, it's what the ticket or what this enhance is about. Provide some detailed information about it. I just want to press a button. Anyhow, you get the idea. You can fill in the version, the operating system, who was submitted by, etc. These were optional, so I don't have the red asterisk by them, but you can make them required pretty easily in that form. Once you have it filled in, the user just has to hit that submit button. That submit button, again, this ties right back into that project. You can customize this response on top, but here, quickly, the form was submitted successfully. I know it's being processed in the back end. So if I jump back into my dashboard, there it just popped in there, option to how to start my car. I can click on it, I can get more information about it. So again, this could be a ticket, this could be an enhancement request, whatever it might be. And since I'm here, I'm going to take a quick action just to clean that up. I don't want to leave it out there. All right. There's a quick example of Jira. And then let's see here. Just to walk through again, another popular thing around creating issues. And I was kind of thinking about this the other day, is that when you create an enhancement or an issue ticket, you want to know some type of a tracking number. So this is, I'm not going to run this one here, but I'll walk through it for you. We're going to create that issue just like before. And let's say that user actually attaches a screenshot of the problem or whatever it might be. Well, if you have that option there to grab a screenshot or a document, one, you can make sure there's a document there with some data in it. So we're checking the size of it, greater than 0. If there is a document there, let's add it to this particular issue. So we have this issue create key being created, by the way. I should back up for a quick second. And project key right there, that's what's being created. And we're keeping track of all these keys. And if they provide a phone number, this is optional, because what you could do is that if there is a phone number in there, we can grab that phone number and we can actually text that person the confirmation, the project ID, the tracking number, so they know how to track it. Also in the secure form response, you could also have that issue key replayed right there back on the top of the screen, as you saw earlier, that response message. So if you have that need to return some type of a tracking, an issue key number back to them, it's easily done as well. All right, so far that's been using or utilizing our existing cloud connectors. And just to kind of walk through really quickly, let me get out of this one. And if you wanted to create your own, I don't want to spend too much time here again. What we recommend, if you do want to, if you don't have the cloud connector that you need, let us know. Contact our support team. They can double check with development. You never know. They may be working on it already. They have it almost ready or done out there. So that may save you some time. Plus, maybe you can actually work with them too as well to maybe create one and get yours published out there. But if you do have to create your own, it's not too bad in the sense if you know what you got going on out there. So here, a quick little example. Again, picking the Minnesota weather. So let's say weather service. I'm just gonna grab that one right there. Hit save. We have some default connections or default actions out here already applied to it. But what I'd like to do is put a text field input in there. This one here, this is the label, username, required. This is for the connection of that resource, and also password. Yes, it's required. All right. So we got a couple things in there. The action. As you know, for the action, typically you'll be doing some type of maybe a REST post of some sort. So under web services, you can see what we can do. So if you have that action you need to do, is drag it right into it, and then you can perform that URI there. Just for quick and simple here today, I am just going to do something a little bit different. Let's do another text field input. The label, let's call this one zip code. And let's change this here. Get weather. All right, so we have a name out there. And this resource test, I'm not going to change it, but this is a great, just some information you can feed back. What's going to happen when you click on it, when you test it out. Let's quickly validate it. Oop, I missed a parameter somewhere in here. Username. Oh, I did. Good air, help me out since I missed that one, and I probably missed this one too. Password. All right. Oh, the validate. That looks a lot better. So at this point, when you do the validation, it also saved it for me. So now at this point, I have this set up. I have this Cloud Connector set up. You can actually see it listed right there. If I go to my resources, I can actually create my own resource to it. Once you have that resource defined, you actually see it in your list, select it, continue, and here comes the information that's required. I got the username, or sorry, that's my name, I don't call it. Jumping ahead here, get weather, username, and my password. Now I can test it out. Again, mine's not really doing much work in the back end there, but again, the goal here is to make sure you are able to connect up to your service out there. Blue is good, so I can actually save and exit. Oh, I already have that one. That's been for my testing the other day, so let's call this one 2. All right, so we call it number 2. Al, at this point, you can go in your workflows, you can create that project, and under Cloud Connectors, we are able then to build and leverage that in that project, right? And let's see, create a project. Actually, I already was in there, I thought. There we go. Cloud Connector, weather service, get weather, bring that in there. The drop down, you're going to see that resource, get weather 2, zip code, validate, execute. Again, I'm not really doing too much work with mine here, but the overall goal is to make sure it's blue. And of course, look at the job log to see where they did there as well. But anyhow, there's a quick little walkthrough of creating your own Cloud Connector. Again, I recommend working with us first before you start going through the process there. All right, I think that was the last thing I want to show. So let's jump back.
Great,
Alrighty.
thanks, Heath. There was a lot of great examples you shared today with some of our most popular connectors. So I think we want to move to the Q&A portion now. So if you'd like to submit a question for our team to answer, you can do so in that questions pane on the control panel, and we'll watch for those to come through. So while we wait, I wanted to thank you all for joining us today. If you like to contact us for any reason, our information there is shared on the screen. So I know there was a couple questions that were answered during the chat that I wanted to share for others who might be interested. So the first one was, can you talk a little bit about how a customer could migrate from on-prem to the SaaS version and what that might entail?
Yeah, I can hop in and address that one. So currently that is being flushed out. There's a couple different ways. I would say that typically when a new customer procures GoAnywhere, as part of that migration process, no two customer migrations are the same. Sometimes there's multiple solutions at play that need to come into GoAnywhere. Sometimes we have customers that want us to do everything, where other times customers have, maybe a strong group of developers that they have dedicated to the migration project, and they're going to run with that. So we're currently working that process out to figure out what's going to be most scalable. One thing that, like moving or purchasing a new vehicle, sometimes when you've used things for a while, there are things that are no longer in use. So there's also that, I guess, caveat of, if I'm migrating, is this an opportunity to clean things up, redesign things to maybe be more efficient or to scale better, as if GoAnywhere, let's say, is, as we commonly see, being utilized far differently down the road than it was maybe initially procured for. So there's a lot of variables to consider with that, but we are currently undergoing that process, and we'll definitely have a more definitive answer on that in the coming months.
Great. This was another one that was answered, but wanted to share. Are you able to leverage a cloud connector for the on-premise instance of SharePoint as well?
Absolutely. Yep. We recently added that to give you the best of both worlds.
Mhm.
How would a customer be able to request or check in on the status to see if our development team is already working on a cloud connector? Like I see there's a question about Workday.
Yeah, great question. So anytime that you have an inquiry like that, you could go to our technical support team. You could also, I guess your account manager that you communicate with would also be able to find that out. We don't have like an active list published anywhere, but kind of as we've alluded to, these are, I don't want to say they're easy to create. I mean, they take some time, but the concept is laid so we can, or I should say the foundation is laid. So conceptually, adding cloud connectors in is a scalable exercise for us. So, but that would be your best way to find the answer to that question.
Great. There's some questions about cost. So do you need to buy a cloud connector before you can use it?
Well, before you can use it, you technically could trial, our cloud connectors. But yes, cloud connectors all do come with a varying cost. So you can reach out to your account manager to find out specifically what the cloud connector will cost.
Yeah, it's basically what a perpetual license, so it's one-time cost plus the maintenance on top of that. So from there on out.
Great. I see one about is the GoAnywhere as a service delivered from European region as well?
Yes, on that one we are worldwide with that. We can have different deployment, or what's it called, availability regions within AWS. So let me just double check that one. Let's circle back around. I want to make sure we're covered there.
Let's see, just looking through here. I think most of these are a little more technical, and we can definitely follow up after the webinar using specific instances. I think we've got most of them answered here.
Yeah, I was looking at that one that workflow too by Mark there. I was trying to read into that one a little bit for you, Mark. But yeah, if we have a way to grab that document from wherever it's at there, I mean, we should be able to help you automate it, picking the file up, moving it to a local server or where we need to deliver it to, including Box, as you mentioned in there. So we should be able to upload, download from Box Drive through the Cloud Connector.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining today. If we didn't answer your question, we can follow up with you directly afterward. But again, thank you for your time, Heath and Chris, and appreciate everyone's time.
Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate it. Have a great day.
Take care.